Welcome back to the deep dive. Some topics, they might seem incredibly niche at first glance, but if you really look closer, they often hold um, surprisingly robust and fascinating insights. They tell a much bigger story. Today, we're going to dive into something that, well, it might sound as simple as gravel pavers, but we'll reveal how this seemingly small detail is actually a powerful indicator of global growth and economic shifts. Our focus for this deep dive is the global gravel paver market. All our insights are drawn directly from the Global Gravel Paver Market Report 2025 by Cognitive Market Research. So our mission today is to unpack this specific industry, really extracting the most important nuggets of knowledge about its current state and its future path. We're going to show you how understanding this particular market can offer a unique shortcut, really, to being well-informed about broader trends, things like infrastructure, sustainability, and development worldwide. Okay, but before we jump into the numbers, let's just make sure we're all on the same page. When we talk about gravel pavers, what exactly are we referring to? It's probably more than just loose rocks, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's a common misconception. Gravel pavers aren't just loose stones, not at all. They're typically an engineered system, often made of recycled materials, plastic, or composite that forms a grid structure. And this grid is then filled with gravel, which locks it all in place, creates a stable, but importantly, a permeable surface.
Permeable, okay.
Yeah, the structure lets water drain directly through it. Totally different from traditional asphalt or concrete surfaces that cause runoff.
Right, runoff is a big issue.
It is, and this permeability, it's kind of a game changer. Makes them incredibly attractive for sustainable development.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense, especially when we think about the growing emphasis on, eco-friendly solutions everywhere.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, let's unpack the global picture. When we look at the overall numbers for gravel pavers, what immediately jumps out as, well, truly significant?
What immediately stands out is really the sheer scale of growth. It demonstrates this kind of quiet but powerful shift in construction and landscaping. So back in 2021, the global market for gravel pavers brought in just over $900 million. Let's call it 900.57 million to be precise.
Okay.
That's projected to rise significantly to nearly $1.3 billion, 1,280.74 million by 2025.
Right.
And then it gets really impressive. It more than doubles to almost $2.6 billion. That's 2,590.31 million by 2033.
Wow, doubling again?
Yeah, it reflects a very strong compound annual growth rate, or CAGR. We're talking over 9% globally, 9.203% to be exact. So it's clear they're being adopted pretty widely across diverse applications all over the world.
Okay, that kind of consistent, robust growth, it isn't accidental, is it? So here's where it gets really interesting for anyone observing, global economic trends. What are the primary driving forces behind this escalating demand for gravel pavers? What's causing this expansion on such a big scale?
Yeah, if we connect this to the bigger picture, this impressive growth, it's primarily driven by, I'd say, three converging factors. First, you've got widespread infrastructure expansion projects, particularly in rapidly developing regions, right? Second, there's the boom in landscaping initiatives across various sectors, from commercial spaces right through to residential developments.
Okay.
And third, and this is critical, a growing, sustained demand for more sustainable paving solutions. It's not just about building anymore, it's really about building smarter with less environmental impact.
That really brings the numbers to life, doesn't it? Building smarter. So with that global context set, let's transition to the regional breakdown, starting with North America. What story do the figures tell us about this region's contribution?
Okay, North America. It provides a really solid foundation for this market. The region saw revenues of about 225.142 million back in 2021.
Right.
That's expected to reach around 316.184 million by 2025. And then it's projected to nearly double, actually, to over $629 million by 2033.
Nearly double. Okay.
Yeah, 629.06 million. This reflects a healthy CAGR of almost 9%. Let's say 8.979%. It's a mature market, definitely, but still showing significant expansion.
And within North America, are there any key players or specific trends, countries that stand out?
Absolutely. The United States, no surprise, continues to be the largest market. It contributes significantly to that overall figure, looking at $162 million in 2021, growing to almost $437 million by 2033. But what's truly noteworthy, I think, is Canada. It's showing particularly dynamic performance. Canada's market, the smaller, started around $50 million in 2021, is forecasted to surge over $158 million by 2033.
Wow.
and it's posting the region's highest TAGR at over 10%, 10.12%.
Over 10%. Interesting.
Yeah, it indicates a strong push there for modern infrastructure and, those green initiatives we talked about. Mexico also contributes, of course, steady growth there too, around 8.4% CAGR, reflecting that broader development in the region.
Okay, fascinating about Canada. Moving across the Atlantic now, let's shift our focus to Europe. How does its growth compare within the global gravel paver landscape? And are there maybe unique factors at play in these more established economies?
Europe shows really steady and widespread expansion across the continent. It's quite broad. Its total market revenue was around $180 million, $180.114 million in 2021,
Okay.
rising to over $250 million, $251.615 million by 2025. And it's projected to reach just over $500 million, $500.445 million by 2033, growing at a CAGR pretty much identical to North America, almost 9%, 8.975%.
Very similar growth rate then.
Exactly. And what's fascinating here is that broad adoption. It really reflects Europe's strong focus on, urban planning and sustainable city development. That's a big priority there.
Yeah, that makes sense given Europe's emphasis on green infrastructure generally.
Mm.
Are there any standout countries within Europe that are really driving this expansion, maybe because of specific projects or regulations?
Well, many European countries are definitely contributing, but the United Kingdom and Germany, they're certainly leading in terms of market size and pretty healthy growth rates, too. The UK is growing at a notable 10% CAGR. That's 10.002%.
Another strong one.
Yeah, while Germany is close behind at over 9%, 9.447% specifically. But beyond these major economies, we also see really consistent growth across France, Italy, Russia, Spain. Even the Nordic countries like Sweden and Denmark show solid growth.
Yeah.
Switzerland, Luxembourg, they're all expanding too, mostly in that 8-9% CAGR range. And what's particularly telling, I think, is that the rest of Europe segment, so countries outside those big names, also posted a strong CAGR of nearly 10%, 9.973%.
Wow, so it's really widespread then.
Exactly. It indicates broad adoption beyond just the major players. It's driven by this continent-wide trend towards more permeable and eco-friendly paving solutions.
Right. Now let's turn our attention to Asia Pacific. The outline mentioned rapid expansion in this region. What makes this area particularly dynamic for gravel pavers, perhaps more so than other regions?
Oh, Asia Pacific is truly leading the charge globally, just rapid expansion. This market was valued at around $270 million, $270.171 million back in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
It's growing to over $390 million, $393.06 million in 2025. And then it's projected to surge to over $836 million by 2033. That's $836.146 million.
Huge numbers.
Huge. With an overall CAGR approaching 10%, it's 9.895%. This dynamic growth, it's a direct reflection of, unprecedented infrastructure development, massive urbanization, and a burgeoning middle class right across the region. It's truly a hotbed of construction activity.
Yeah, you hear so much about that.
Yeah.
In a region this vast and undergoing such rapid change, which countries are truly driving that remarkable growth? Which ones maybe signal future development hotspots?
Well, several countries are showing impressive numbers, definitely, but a few really stand out. China, for instance, projected to grow rapidly, CAGR over 10%, 10.109%. That reflects its ongoing massive infrastructure investment, right?
Makes sense.
Japan is also seeing robust growth, around 9% CAGR. However, India posts truly remarkable growth. It's soaring from about $70 million, $70.244 million in 2021, to nearly $240 million, $239.35 million by 2033.
Wow, almost quadrupling.
Exactly. And it marks the highest CAGR in the entire Asia-Pacific region at over 10.5%, 10.657%.
Incredible.
Yeah, it really underscores India's aggressive national infrastructure plans. We also see strong performances from South Korea, around 9.7% CAGR. Australia, similar at 9.7%. Singapore, around 9.4%. And notably, the collective countries of Southeast Asia, that group is also exhibiting a very high CAGR, actually the region's second highest after India at 10.286%. Indicates widespread development across that whole subregion. Taiwan also strong, around 9.3%.
Okay, that picture in Asia Pacific is just, explosive growth almost everywhere, especially India and Southeast Asia. Let's move south now to South America. What's the story here for gravel pavers? What kind of potential are we seeing for this emerging market?
South America represents significant emerging potential, definitely. The market value there was around $90 million, $90.057 million in 2021,
Okay.
projected to reach over $123 million by 2025, and over $240 million, $242.438 million by 2033. So it's growing at a healthy 8.8% CAGR overall, 8.814%. This growth is pretty indicative of ongoing urbanization and infrastructure projects right across the continent.
Mm-hmm. And within South America, leading countries.
Brazil definitely leads the region in terms of market size, showing strong growth too, over a 9% CAGR, 9.079%. Argentina and Colombia also demonstrate solid expansion, both also around 9% CAGR, 9.065% for Argentina, 9.173% for Colombia.
Okay, strong numbers there too.
Yeah, Peru and Chile are a bit lower, around 8.2% and 8.4% respectively, and the rest of South America combined is growing steadily too, around 8.5%. So while the overall numbers might be smaller than, say, Asia Pacific, the consistent growth here signals a clear and steady adoption of these modern paving solutions.
Got it. Steady growth, emerging potential.
Okay, shifting now to the Middle East, the outline pointed to strong momentum there. What specifically is driving this growth in that region? And are there any maybe surprising leaders within it and stand out?
Yeah, the Middle East market certainly showcases strong momentum. It's driven largely by ambitious national development visions and these huge mega projects you hear about.
Right, those visions, yeah.
Exactly. Revenues were around $45 million, $45.209 million in 2021, projected to rise to almost $65 million, $64.863 million by 2025, and then surge to nearly $140 million, $138.284 million by 2033, marking a really robust TGR of almost 10%. 9.925%.
10% for the region, okay. Any standouts?
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
What's truly fascinating here is the incredibly impressive growth of certain countries. It reflects their aggressive investment in new cities and massive infrastructure. Saudi Arabia, for instance, is just leading the charge. It's projected to grow from roughly $16.7 million in 2021 to over $54 million, $54.608 million by 2033.
Huge leap.
Yeah, at an astounding 10.679% CAGR.
Wait, nearly 10.7%. That's right. That's actually the highest TGR across all countries mentioned in the entire report.
Wow. Okay, that is surprising. What's behind that?
It's clearly fueled by those large-scale projects tied to Saudi Vision 2030, just massive development. The UAE also shows really strong growth, with a very similar CAGR, actually, 10.617%.
Yeah.
Again, signaling intense development activity in places like Dubai and Abu Dhabi.
Two countries over 10.6% CAGR, side by side.
Exactly. Qatar is also experiencing significant expansion, over 10% CAGR as well, 10.062%, aligning with its ongoing modernization efforts. Turkey and Egypt are also showing strong growth, both around 9.5, 9.6% CAGR. The rest of the Middle East combined is also growing well, about 8.8%, but Saudi Arabia and the UAE are really the stories there.
That's truly remarkable for Saudi Arabia and the UAE. Really underscores the scale of their national ambitions. Okay, and finally, let's conclude our regional overview with Africa. What's the trajectory for gravel pavers on this continent? What does it tell us about their development path?
Africa presents a picture of, I'd say, steady progress and a positive future outlook. The market accounted for just under $90 million, $89.877 million in 2021.
Okay.
Forecasted to reach over $130 million, $131.673 million in 2025. And then nearly $244 million, $243.94 million by 2033. The overall CAGR here is about 8%. 8.012%, so a bit lower than other regions, but still solid growth. It indicates a growing recognition of gravel pavers' benefits as foundational infrastructure takes shape.
Right, and within Africa, leading countries.
Nigeria leads the continent, growing significantly, projected CAGR of 8.324% as its economy and urban areas expand, from about $33 million to over $93 million. South Africa also shows consistent growth, similar CAGR at 8.371%, reflecting its more established infrastructure development. And the broader rest of Africa segment also contributes significantly, making up over half the market value, though its CAGR is slightly lower at 7.71%. It signals that this growth isn't just confined to one or two nations, but is gradually spreading across the continent as new projects and urban centers emerge.
Okay, so steady progress across Africa. That completes our world tour. So after this incredible journey through the global gravel paver market, what does this all mean for you, our listener, especially looking at the bigger picture of global development and trying to understand these market dynamics?
Yeah, what's fascinating here, I think, is that the data points to strong and sustained growth potential for gravel pavers across pretty much all major regions worldwide. This isn't just about some niche product, right? It's really about the very foundations of modern development. These sort of modest pavers are actually key players in the global construction boom.
Right. Key players, even if they seem simple.
Exactly. And just to reiterate, the key drivers behind this consistent expansion are one, these large scale infrastructure projects, think new roads, commercial developments, huge housing projects.
Hmm.
Two, there's that ever increasing demand for diverse landscaping solutions, from public parks to private estates. And three, perhaps most importantly now, is that global shift towards more sustainable and environmentally friendly paving options.
The green angle again.
Absolutely. Gravel pavers, with their permeability, they actively help manage stormwater runoff, they can reduce the heat island effects in cities, and they just offer a greener alternative to traditional concrete and asphalt.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture now, and you're thinking about where the most dynamic economic and infrastructural development is really happening, which countries really stand out as the hotbeds for gravel paver adoption, signaling that significant growth?
Okay, yeah. Based purely on the highest compound annual growth rates, the KGRs we've uncovered in this report, the countries that truly stand out as hotbeds for gravel paver adoption and therefore likely significant development are India, with its remarkable 10.657% CAGR, China, strong at over 10%, 10.109%, Canada, interestingly, also over 10% at 10.12%, and then leading the entire report, Saudi Arabia with that impressive 10.679% CAGR.
India, China, Canada, and Saudi Arabia, quite a diverse group.
It really is. These are the places seeing the most dynamic expansion in this particular market, and it reflects massive investment and transformation happening on the ground.
Wow, what an incredible deep dive we've just taken. Through the global gravel paver market, no less. From the foundational growth in North America and Europe to the, well, booming emerging markets of Asia Pacific, the Middle East, and Africa. It's really clear that even seemingly niche industries are undergoing significant growth and transformation. And they act as these quiet but powerful indicators of much larger economic tides, urbanization, and a global pivot towards sustainability.
Yeah, and this raises an important question, I think, for you to consider. Think about how these specific, really granular market growths like that of gravel pavers, how they accumulate, how they paint a larger picture of global economic shifts, rapid urbanization, and this quiet but persistent demand for foundational, yet often overlooked infrastructure. What does this seemingly small detail, these grids filled with gravel, what does that tell you about the future of development in these booming regions?
It's a great challenge for you to consider as you go about your day. What other invisible or overlooked industries might be silently shaping our world, right beneath our feet maybe, or perhaps in plain sight? And how can looking closely at the data, even for something as unassuming as gravel, reveal these unexpected narratives of progress and change? Narratives that truly inform your understanding of the global economy. We'll see you on the next deep dive.